There is a lot of Second Amendment gun litigation floating around out there right now. It was all caused just recently by the Supreme Court's decision in Bruin, and we won't go into that, but I want to talk about the Rahimi case because the United States versus Rahimi. Let me tell you what happened. This happens in Florida all the time. You get an injunction, a domestic violence injunction. You know what happens? Your Second Amendment rights go out the window, and you can no longer possess firearms because a judge found that you cannot be near this person, this particular person, and therefore you don't get to possess guns. Well, what happened in Rahimi was he appealed that decision and said, I know I got a domestic violence injunction, which is not even criminal, by the way. It's just an injunction and to stay away from somebody, and they took away my gun rights, and I want my gun rights back. And I think it's unconstitutional to take my gun rights on this non-criminal injunction situation. And guess what? A court actually agreed with Rahimi and said, yeah, we're giving your gun rights back. We don't see that this injunction trumps the Second Amendment rights that you have under Bruin, which we won't go into. That's a whole nother video. But this Rahimi case went all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court just recently said, no, Rahimi, you don't get to have a gun. If you have threatened somebody and a court deems that you have a injunction, a domestic violence injunction, then you don't get to possess guns. Your Second Amendment rights are out the window. It's interesting because we're seeing a lot of gun litigation. We don't know which way it's going, but the Rahimi court said, nope, you do not get to possess guns if you are subject to injunction. My question is, sometimes these judges are giving out injunctions that are forever, they're 10 years, they're 5 years. And you've got guys that have moved to Hawaii and their Florida injunction is still in place and they can't defend themselves in Hawaii or Alaska because some woman that lives in Florida issued an injunction. So I think there's a lot to be resolved here. This is just the tip of the iceberg.